April of 2020, the NGCOA began hosting weekly, live, hour-long chats open to anyone in the golf business. Each week, NGCOA CEO Jay Karen, accompanied by Don Rea, NGCOA board member and owner of Augusta Ranch Golf Club, discussed the state of the NGCOA, delved into challenges related to the COVID-19 crisis, and explored business topics of interest with special guests from golf, industry, and government relations. You can watch or rewatch these interesting and informative sessions on demand on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/NGCOA. Now, enjoy today's Golf Business Live.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Jay Karen here with the National Golf Course Owners Association, coming to you live from our headquarters in Charleston, South Carolina. Welcome to the January 2021 edition of Golf Business Live. Wow. New year, new outlook, and new issues for the golf industry. And with me, of course, is the one and only Don Rea, owner of Augusta Ranch Golf Club in Mesa, Arizona, and Secretary of the PGA of America. Don, welcome to the show. Oh, you're on mute. Rookie mistake. You're on mute.
It's been so long since we jumped on here. I'm in spring training right now. Just pitchers and catchers are reporting shortly, But yeah, I miss you guys. It's been crazy, right? But yeah, good to be on the show again. Good to get the band back together.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, just a quick shout out and happy birthday to the man behind the scene, Taylor Wall. Today is his 30th birthday, and we were just talking hair loss and what to expect coming down the road, buddy. It doesn't get any better as far as the hair is concerned. I can tell you that. But you know what? Hey, listen, since it's your birthday, take the rest of the afternoon off after the show's over, okay? Happy birthday to you, Taylor. Hey, as a reminder to the audience here watching, whether it's through Facebook or YouTube, to submit your questions in the respective comments area, and we'll do our best to get to those questions and answers, whether it's for Don and myself or for our special guest that we'll be bringing on here in a little bit, Mr. Greg Norman. So Don, okay, 2020 is in the rear view mirror, and how did it end for Augusta Ranch?
A great year. Once again, when this all started, when we first started this show, it was right after we lost the last 2 weeks of March, which are the worst possible weeks that I could ever lose in golf. But yet we surpassed, maybe our best year ever at the golf course. I mean, typically you do about 43,000 rounds. Obviously, we kind of level that out with revenue management, so that we can always raise the rate to make a little more money off the same amount of rounds. This last year, Jay, 51,000 rounds at Augusta Ranch, and they're new people. I mean, certainly there's some people playing more because they're working from home, but I see so many families. Matter of fact, Jay, our range, we had to go on the mats for 2 weeks because our range, the grass was getting beat up because we're just selling so many range balls. So, man, and then just one final thing, isn't it funny that we were so nervous of running the golf course in April and May because of COVID? Now there's more cases than ever in Arizona. We've got golfers out there. So we're having to remind everybody, hey, nothing has changed here. I still got to get my 6-foot distancing stick out, poke some people in the belly, and just remind everybody we're still in the same situation. So crazy, but love to see the growth in the game. That's what this is all about. That's what PJ members and golf course owners want to see. More people enjoying our golf courses.
So I'm getting some questions right now about, hey, what's the golf industry going to do in 2021? And I'm not ever one to crystal ball, what's going to happen. I mean, if 2020 proved anything, there is no crystal ball, right? So, but let me ask you this: as a business owner, are you going to go into this year budgeting and planning as though the demand's going to stay high, or do you play it conservative and look at any kind of bump in demand again as gravy?
Well, one, I'm definitely going to manage my business by walking around. If I've learned anything from the last years, that I need to do more of that and build relationships to these people who are coming out and haven't played before will continue to play. Well, we're discovering already, I mean, obviously out here in our market, January through March, it's a lot of winter visitors, a lot of snowbirds, a lot of people from Canada. We're not quite seeing all those Canadians come down, but we certainly are already seeing a backfill of locals playing and filling those spots. So, how many birds won't migrate down from Florida down here to Phoenix? I'm not sure. We're budgeting kind of a mix. I'm still, I gotta believe that 2020 is a little bit of an aberration, as much as I loved it. But I'm going to trust the fact that if I measure the last 3 years, which is a standard way to budget, that we'll write it out and see what happens. Here in my market, Jay, it's at the end of April, you kind of look to see where you're at, because the rest of the year, you're just going to lose money. So we're not going to get too aggressive with our budgets, but I'm certainly going to budget more than I did in 2019, but not as high as I actually did in 2020.
A question's coming already that I'm going to surface here, because, I think folks are going to wonder, with the COVID, the changes in operations because of COVID, what's going to stick around, right? Well, I mean, maybe temporarily or permanently. So the question here from Peter is, what is the flag stick restrictions going to look like for 2021 across the nation? What do you think?
Well, we're still sticking with the little foam noodles down at the bottom. We've had to change them out a couple times because those things get old. We're not going to put the ball washers back. As far as riding in the golf carts, we were very easy about it in that year. Now we've flipped to peak season rates. We've kind of just turned over a new leaf in 2021. So what we do have right now is, hey, here's a rate that if you're riding by yourself, this is what it's going to cost. If you want to ride alone, if you want to ride with somebody else, you lower the cost. So I think it's a way of addressing it. I know everybody's worried about charging more for somebody riding by themselves. So we're just saying, here's golf with the cart, right? But if you do ride with somebody else, here's a little discount on that. Just another way to approach it. But the flag sticks for the near time, we don't have flag sticks on our putting green. I think I'm going to keep those off. I kind of like the look of it. But the flag sticks on the golf course, I am going to, from now and certainly through April, when all my snowbirds are here, we're going to tell them not to touch the flag stick. We're going to leave the foam noodles in there. Yeah,
good. No, that's interesting. Let's talk a little bit about the national scene. You're now Secretary of the PGA of America, so from our discussions, I know you're that's a little bit different than sitting on the NGCOA board. But you're in the show now, the big leagues there. How's that going for you?
Oh, it's awesome. I've got 28,000 brothers and sisters PGA members out there, right? And now I get the honor of kind of representing them in the national boardroom as an officer. And so certainly a lot going on with the PGA of America. Everything we do is about our programs, right? Everything's about PGA Hope, free lessons for veterans, PGA Junior League, kids playing golf again, numbers on their back, PGA Family Cup, bringing families together. So knowing that we're doing officer planning, right? And so it is a little different, isn't it, Jay? Officer planning at the NGCOA, there's not a whole lot of money to dole out. And so you kind of do what you can do. The PGA's got resources because of what we do that we can help our members, right? Serve the member, grow the game. That's what we do. So very exciting. To be honest with you, your hands are tied to the NGCOA, what you want to do. The needs and wants become something big. Certainly needs and wants at the PGA of America. But we can get into a little bit of the wants and not just focusing on the needs. And that's really what I think is going to drive, people playing golf from right. PJ.com to the PJ.coach to the PJ member.
Yeah, that's good. We have the, in a week and a half here, the PGA show is going virtual and the Golf Business Conference is going virtual. We're still together with the PGA show. So I just want to remind the audience that January 25th, that whole week, you've got an amazing amount of education and opportunity to interface with hundreds of vendors still just virtually. So you get to do it on your own time in your own place. But we encourage you to go to golfbusinessconference.com and check it out. So we're pleased to roll with the punches this year as far as event planning is going. And just also nationally, we've got a new administration coming into Washington and DC, whether it's Congress or the White House and so forth. So we're, as a golf industry, we're gearing up for new messaging and engagement on our federal agenda, because sometimes you have to start over every 2 years with some people. New members of Congress, we had Joe Cunningham from District 1 here on the show over the summer. Now we have Nancy Mace in that position. So we have to, bring Nancy on and tell her all about the golf industry issues, right? And to be able to do that. So, but we're gonna roll with whatever side of the aisle is in power. Golf is nonpartisan as far as our business, our industry. We're in the tourism business, we're in the recreation business, we're in the business of employing millions of people, and so we are apolitical, and we just need to make sure that Washington hears our message. So we'll be there. And COVID is helping to make our case for us that golf is good. In that, that we can thread the needle of keeping businesses alive and serving, the American public and what they need during a pandemic. And so I think when we go to Washington this year, that will be a real compelling story to tell, from our industry. So we're we're looking forward to that. And we'll have you there at Capitol Hill whenever we can get back there, because everything's virtual for the time being. But you know what? I don't want to waste any more time on you and me, Don. Okay, so we have a special guest with us today, Mr. Greg Norman. Bring him to the stage, Taylor. There he is. Hey, Greg, how you doing?
Very well, Jay. And yourself, Don?
Doing great.
Well, everybody at home, as we all know, Greg was the #1 golfer in the world for 331 weeks. World Golf Hall of Fame member, twice the winner of the Open Championship, global entrepreneur in golf course design, apparel, wine, beef, and technology. Greg was the 2015 NGCOA Award of Merit winner, and he's also on NGCOA's advisory board. So thank you, Greg, for being a part of my inner circle of advisors. And I always love talking shop with you and the industry. So I really, really appreciate that, what you do for NGCOA.
Well, thanks, Jay. What you do for the NGCOA and all those operators out there is just phenomenal. And Don is a testament to that, obviously, and to see his success and where he's taken himself with the PGA of America. And, look, I started as an assistant pro. I started in pro shop. I was selling tees and golf balls. I was buffing golf clubs. I was putting golf buggies out for the members to come get them. That's where I learned my DNA about what goes on behind the scenes. And that's why I'm so passionate today about where the PGA of America is, where the club pro is today, where the club operator is today, because I understood very, very early on the P&L of what happened for the club pro, and trying to be accretive to their bottom line in any way, shape, or form is really, really important to me. And that, whether that's through golf course design, or whether that's through the Superintendent Association, or whether that's through the NGCOA, or whether that's through the PGA of America or PGA of Australia, I think it's very important for me, because I pay it forward in the best way I possibly can, because golf has been fantastic for me, and I've learned so much, and I've progressed so far in life because of it. I just love whatever I can do to help anybody in the game of golf. And, we've touched on, I've listened to Don before about the influx of golfers to the game this year because of COVID. Golf is a testament. I don't care whether it's a PGA Tour, whether it's the USGA, whether it's just the mom and pop organizations. We are a testament to what you can do under the right rules and regulations and protocols to get people out there exercising, fresh air, and making sure the game of golf was the hallmark of how you can make things happen. And kudos to everybody for doing it.
Yeah. Well, really well said, Greg. The audience, little known fact the audience doesn't know is that I'm playing tennis because of Greg Norman. He's famous for golf, but I had the good fortune of playing tennis with him about 3 or 4 years ago, and I hadn't played in 20 years. And it just lit this spark that, wow, I just forgot how athletic and fun it can be. And, a few years later, here it is, the club championship singles 3.0 men's championship trophy for the Daniel Island Club. And I owe it to you, Greg, for reintroducing me to tennis and athleticism. So I appreciate that.
You're the athlete in your own right. So congratulations on that. I love playing tennis. I just finished playing yesterday for an hour and a half, but I don't play. I just hit. And it's that part. It's that getting your heart rate up, just running back and forth, chasing balls around. And whether you're good or you're not, I think it's very, very good for your physical conditioning.
Yeah, the man runs around a tennis court like an 18-year-old. Trust me. Okay. So speaking of health, talk to us about your COVID recovery, my man. Like you were hit hard. How are you doing? Tell us how you're doing.
Look, I think the best way of talking about it is it's how it evolved. My son and my son's fiance and myself were exposed at the PNC Championship. We kind of traced it all the way back to December the 17th. And really, Saturday when we played the first round, my body felt absolutely fantastic. 2 a.m. Sunday morning, my son's fiance woke up feeling very sick, heavy fever, aching pains all through her body. I wake up feeling okay, not great. And around 7 o'clock, 7:30, the middle of my back from the scapulars down to my L4, L5 just went into excruciating pain. It was like unbearable. I couldn't do anything. I think, well, I must have slept wrong last night or whatever it was. And I go to the range and there's nothing I can do. I'm trying to hit balls and doing the best I can and just swallowing down Advils and the lead the best I can. And we found out going down the third hole that my son's fiance tested positive. So now my son and I looking at each other, and we're playing with Tom Lehman and his son, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, okay, that means we're exposed. And my first sign was my back pain. So we finished the round, we took off. I informed the Lehmans with my son, I informed the people around with my son what had transpired. I came home and went straight into quarantine. And here's the interesting part. During that time, I experienced a distant symptom almost on a daily basis. When I got home the first night, I had a fever. I woke up the next morning, the fever was even higher. Then all of a sudden, I started getting other aches and pains. I'd be lying in bed where I sheet on the bed with my arm. My pain in my shoulders was that acute. Then the headaches started coming in like somebody was chiseling away a layer of your brain, one layer at a time, one layer at a time. And it was so debilitating. Then it got into my legs, into my hip flexors, into my quads, where I couldn't walk. I'd take my dog for a walk around the property, obviously not run around anybody. My quads wouldn't work. So all this is all part of it. And then I lost my taste, and then I lost my smell. And then what really got me a little bit too, Jay, was loss of memory. I couldn't remember a name. It took me a long time to remember a name. So it was really went through my whole body. And thank God, I was fit enough. And I had a lot of markers. I checked myself in the hospital on Christmas Day. And they took my blood test, and there were a couple of markers in there that really told the doctor, hey, you are at risk here. We got to do something about it. And that's how the whole process about having an antibody infusion started. 2 days later, on December 27th, I got an antibody infusion. On the 28th, 29th, I started to feel a little bit better. And then I had to quarantine for for 14 days. I stayed in quarantine until January the 2nd. So it was, trust me, all these pundits out there who don't believe in it, I hope you never, ever get to experience it. And I'm a lucky one, quite honestly, because I'm fit and I'm strong and I'm healthy and I don't carry a whole lot of body fat. So I could fight it off pretty intensely. But if I didn't have that antibody test, I don't know how long it would have gotten that taken to get out of my body.
Well, are you feeling 100%? Are you back?
I'm 100% now. I'm back working out in the gym, full workout, full weights, doing all the things I need to do. And so yeah, it was a big learning experience. My wife tested positive, not true. And she had 0 symptoms. So go figure.
So what you're saying is that she's in better shape than you are.
100% correct.
Well, hey, listen, we're glad you're back in full health. So that was a bit of a scare. We're glad you're here with us and doing well.
Yeah,
sure. The big news in the industry this week was the Greg disappeared on us.
I lost him. I saw his finger go up there, and then all of a sudden he went black. We'll get him.
All right. So, well, the big news. Hey, Greg, can you hear us? Can maybe his microphone works? Nada. All right. So, hey, Taylor, maybe you can send him a message to log out and log back in. All right.
That's looks like what he's doing.
Oh, there he is. There he is. I can see him now.
Sorry, Don, you know who that was?
COVID.
That was your boss.
Really?
That was
he's probably telling you to ask me a couple tough questions to see if I have the right answers.
That was Seth?
That was Seth. Yeah, I apologize for that, guys.
No worries. Hey, listen, just to be clear, Don is Seth's boss, just so you know.
That's true. Are you listening, Seth? Seth, are you listening? That's true. The member is his boss, the member.
Just to be clear. So the big news this week in the industry, obviously, is that the PGA of America's decision to pull the 2022 PGA Championship from Trump National Bedminster, subsequent to the attacks on the U.S. Capitol. Now, I don't want to monopolize today's show, certainly, on this topic, but Greg, I certainly would love your take. You're a commentator on all kinds of things, political, business, and everything. I love your take on the decision, and then turn it to Don to see what he says.
Well, look, I think everybody's got to weigh it up and value everything that's taken place, right? I mean, what happened on January the 6th is something you never want to see happen to any country, to any government, to any individual, to any institution. Just despicable. And you don't want that to happen. So when you weigh up all the parameters of why you got there, you can understand how some of these institutions will step back. There's no different than the Deutsche Bank stepping back, no different some other companies stepping back. So they're going to take a really microscopic hard look at this. And the RNA did the same thing. So, at the end of the day, each institution has to value their decisions on how they value their business and how they want to take it forward. So, you can't point the fingers at anybody. It's a decision that was correctly made. It's a decision that was made internally. And, golf will go on. The PGA Championship is one of the top 4 in the world. And it's got to find the place where the founding body feels comfortable hosting that event. And so they made the decision within the board. They made the decision with the guidance of Seth Waugh, who was just on the call. So, you have to support him.
Yeah. Don, as you know, you're an executive officer of the PGA, so can you give us a glimpse into the rationale?
Well, I can tell you it's interesting, Greg. You might not know I was a professional umpire for 9 years. So I've made a lot of calls and I've had a lot of people. There's always one team that thinks I'm doing the greatest thing ever. I called them safe. The other team doesn't like me. And the one person who loves baseball more than anybody is the umpire. Yeah. And they know that they make decisions based on what's best, right? And so, for our members, and we have a fiduciary responsibility to them, it's like what puts our brand at risk? Because if something puts our brand at risk, it puts our programs at risk, our junior programs, our veterans programs, all the diversity inclusion stuff that we're doing now with PGA Works. And so at the end of the day, if something puts our brand at risk, it puts the very mission of us serving the member and growing the game at risk. And so the decision was made.
Yeah. It's a tough, I know it's a tough call. And, we're talking a lot these days about cancel culture. And, really that doesn't hit the golf industry too often, but, cancel culture is a blunt instrument. And, it's going to happen when these things arrive. And I guess that you got to decide, are you going to cancel on someone or be canceled upon? If you don't, that's a tough call to make. I know it's really, really hard. And like you said, you've got a responsibility to your members not to be canceled upon. That's really, maybe what it comes down to. So tough decision, tough calls. And I feel for you guys having to make tough, but as I like to tell my friends, and I told Jim Richardson recently, a smooth sea never made a skillful sailor. It's like I'm a better leader. I'm sure the two of you can say the same thing because of how you sail through difficulties and those choppy waters and those storms. And you can look back and say, wow, what did I learn from that? So I'm sure the PGA of America leadership will do the same. Actually, great segue, to a question, Greg, that I want to ask you, because you're well known for your successes, Greg. But I want to dive into what I would consider, what have you learned in your whether it's your golf career or your business from the failures or the risks that you took that didn't pay off? Because as business owners watching this show, every day you're taking little risks, and some days you're taking enormous risks with your business. So tell us maybe what you've gained and learned from the most difficult moments.
Look, there's no question. I put it down to human resources. Look, I can make a 30-second decision to chase something. It'll create 30 months of work. That's one of what people say. But at the end of the day, you entrust people to take you in a certain direction, right? You give your idea, you give your thought. Here's my plan. Let's build on that plan. How do we execute that plan? How do we actually, how do you want to close out that plan at the end of the day? What is your exit strategy? And sometimes human resources let you down. Now, on the other side of the coin, human resources, you couldn't get anywhere without it. I've got great people working for me, wonderful people right across the board. But in those given moments when you want to do that tracing back to what the failure was, sometimes, yes, you should blame yourself 100%. There's no question about it. But you get 99 yards downfield, you have to make that last call to get across the line. That is the tough decision you've got to make on all the information that's been brought into you. And that information comes from people you've asked and tasked to do your job for you. So sometimes they let you down. It's happened to me in the past. So you learn from your mistakes. You try and if you can't change the people, you change the people. And you really want to give somebody the opportunity to grow and to develop and learn by their mistakes and understand why they made a mistake and why it didn't fit into your branding program or your long-term goals, whether it's a yearly goal or a 5-year goal plan or even a 20-year goal plan. As long as they understand it and they learn by it, great. The business is profit. They don't, like I said, if you can't change the people, you have to change.
Let me ask you, okay, so when you have risked and you didn't get the ball across the finish line and it didn't turn out like you wanted to, do you find that what you learned from that made you more confident moving forward into business decisions or more risk averse because you've lost? Because you can take it one way or the other.
Yeah, look, I think being risk averse is something you should always be in business, right? You've always got to analyze the downside to it. Risk management is a critical part of everything I do. But at the same time, if we're playing golf, I'll give you the analogy. When I was in my prime, and if I was hitting my 5-iron a little bit off, maybe 3 or 4 yards off the distance, moving 15 feet to the right more than I wanted to, what do? You got to go back there and you got to fix the problem. What was that problem? You need to sit down with your coach and your caddy and say, okay, what was I doing wrong? Let's be analytical about that. Study, learn from it. Go back there and hit 500 more 5-irons, trying to hit that exact same shot to eliminate that mistake. When that mistake is eliminated, you go out the next day with the total amount of confidence with a very risky shot ahead of you. 197 yards over the water, flags cut right. Oh, yesterday, if I didn't practice, I could have possibly missed it in the water. No, I took it on. My risk management was I did the 500 shots. I worked with my coach. I worked with my caddy. I feel confident about what I do. I would go and execute. It's no different in business. I mean, I'll do my due diligence. I'll do my practice. I'll do all this. And I'll determine whether from the risk management side, is it worth it? And sometimes you don't find out for years and years and years in business, right? Because it takes time to develop a business. 15 years sometimes to develop the brand on its own right. But you really got to have that foresight to be able to say, okay, this I'm going to manage my risk side of things. I'm going to learn. I'm going to do due diligence. And then I'll go.
Let's dive into one of your business domains in golf course design. The pendulum swung in one direction for a number of years in there being a premium on difficulty, length, all of these things as golf course owners and builders were building courses for, a generation. And it feels like the pendulum is starting to swing the other way, kind of in the name of playability and also reducing footprint from an environmental standpoint. And so so if you're a golf course owner now and you've got your 6,900 yards that, you've had for 20, 30 years, or in Don's case, how many yards? What's your yardage there at Augusta Ranch? It's a par.
Yeah, it's 4,000, par 61, 4,000 yards. I'm hoping they roll the ball back so far, Greg, that I can host a major. That's what I'm hoping. Roll it back, I say.
Well, my point is, it's like, we're trying to attract the game to a lot of people, and the difficulty of the game is always one of those things that that's why I'm not going to play. I don't want to embarrass myself. It's so difficult. How does a golf course owner, from a design standpoint, do you think these days evolve so that they're threading the needle or walking that tightrope and attracting the folks that love the challenge and those that just want to get there and have a good time and don't care about the challenge so much?
Well, look, I can answer this in a lot of different ways, Jay. And I can look at it from a business perspective. I can look at it from a golf course designer's perspective. I can look at it from a player's perspective. So quite honestly, I might get a little bit political here, not political, but a little bit. Where in the 80s and 90s, when America had this unlimited access to capital, now everybody was over leveraged. So we go out there and we build 400 golf courses a year on year at an unsustainable rate. And we built these golf courses with 100,000 square foot clubhouses and 80,000 square foot clubhouses. And we built them with unbelievable mounding that had to be hand mowed. And the cost of maintaining these golf courses was so high, it actually became a burden to the regular membership. Now, shame on us as golf course designers, shame on us as owners and developers for not putting the reins and pulling them back really tight and saying, hey, this is not sustainable. It's not sustainable. Then comes the GFC. The GFC comes and whacks the golf industry so hard because what happens? People's disposable income dried up. And people love the game of golf. And we see it today as the game of golf is now progressing. You have increase of 15% on public play, 19% on private play. So people want to play. But when GFC hit, we then discovered what happened in America was unsustainable because the cost of maintaining these golf courses that were built at an incredible over budget rate was costing the membership. So when GFC comes, people scale back. If they were members of 3 courses, they went to 1. If they were members of 4 or 5, they went to 2 or 3 because of that disposable income. You can't keep handing down the cost of maintaining these 7,500, 7,600 yard golf courses onto everybody else who plays it outside of the 1 week a year.
Yeah.
And so what I love today as a golf course designer is how sophisticated the owner/developers are today compared to where they were in the 80s and 90s. Now, I didn't really get into my golf course design business until the early 90s. So, you know, I was part of that as a player. So you've got to understand all the dynamics of what's playing on. Now, to your question about playability, 100% agree with you. I've been with developers in my early part of my career, and they say, I want the toughest golf course we can get out there. And you go, okay, do you realize it's going to be this, this, and this? I don't care. I want a PGA Tour event there, and I want to test the best of the best. And I said, for 1 week a year? Yeah, that's what I want. So you got to wish, you say, okay, this is what you want. So then we build golf courses, and then the player, the designer you get crucified for building too tough a golf course. But it wasn't our decision.
You're like, I gave the client what he wanted.
Exactly. So nowadays, you sit down there and you absolutely walk them through the whole process. You walk them through the design. You walk them through the design that you have laid out on plans. You walk them through the whole maintenance schedule, the process, and you roll it out over a 20-year period or 1 generation. And why I say 1 generation, Jay, is because if I want my son to join the golf club that I've been involved with for 20 years, I want him to walk into my shoes to be able to continue on with that legacy of that golf club and that family. So it becomes a long-term deal. It becomes 20, 25 years, 50 years if you do it right. And that's the beauty of the game of golf. And that's the beauty of if we can all get it right. If we can reduce the cost of maintenance on every golf course in the United States by 8 to 18%, you know how much money we would save the industry. You know how much money we would save each golf club, whether it's public or whether it's private, whether it's a resort golf course. It would be a blessing to the game of golf. And that is one of my initiatives that I can. I used to be the chairman of the Environmental Institute of Golf, and one of my first things I did was understanding water usage on golf courses. Why do we have to have this expansive green grass everywhere that's not even in play that you got to mow, you got to water, you got to do this, you got to fertilize? It just didn't make sense to me. So we're there, we're getting there. And it becomes because of the collaboration with the owner, the developer, and the architect looking sensibly and sustainably into the future.
You're right. You know, to use that analogy again, the smooth sea never made a skillful sailor. The golf industry itself has, had from an economic recession standpoint, difficult times, for many years. And I think what we're seeing is just the intelligence level to approach to business rising and rising because of difficult times. Without those difficult times, hubris sets in.
Yeah, but also, Jay, don't forget about technology.
Yeah.
Technology has been huge for the game of golf. Irrigation systems, irrigation heads, machinery, golf equipment, everything. It's been a change. Don laughed, roll the golf ball back to 1996, pre-1996, 100% on board with him on that. The longest players will still be long. And, whether they hit the ball 350 or they hit the ball 270, it's a big difference to be able to, from a maintenance standpoint. So technology is being there, and technology can be used today to be accretive to the bottom line in many, many ways. And we just have to be open to these platforms that are out there that give everybody that ability to do that.
Well, let's talk about technology real quick. You know, you and I actually, we met several years ago, I guess now, when you were wanting to have some folks in the industry advise you on this new thing called the Shark experience. You wanted the perspective, especially of owners, you know, and golf course owners and their customers. You were bringing this technology to the console and the golf car. Talk to us about where you are now with the Shark experience and what you're seeing, what you've learned, and what you're seeing so far.
Yeah, it's been a great journey, quite honestly. It's a journey of evolution. It really is it's a platform. It's a forever evolving platform, and we knew that. We're coming out in March with our new UI UX, which is much more user friendly. We've learned a lot in a period of time in 4 years. For example, we're by the end of this year we'll be on 500 golf courses, and we'll probably be doing around 11 million rounds of golf. Now, when you're getting that many number of rounds of golf, you get a lot of impressions out there. And those impressions can be used in a very advantageous way to make it a very immersive experience. So what we're doing is we're showing to all our partners out there and our different partners the opportunities that do lay in front of you with what this technology can deliver. Now, I've got great partnerships with Verizon, right? Verizon's doing a phenomenal job for us in getting this to the people. And our content side of things is the other thing too. We have learned, and through these impressions that we're getting, we learn what the golfer likes and don't like. So we actually refine it down to make sure it works for everybody.
Well, that's good. You know, when we were in those early stages, we were looking at trying to figure out what the golfer might want from a content standpoint, but I guess you can just watch what they push. You can kind of get the data of like, this is what the golfers want. No, they're not watching Nickelodeon. They just want their Spotify on or whatever it might be. So that's, I'm sure, valuable data that you're picking up.
No, and absolutely. And from an operator standpoint, you can customize your experience, right? And that's the other beautiful thing. You customize your experience for what you want for your people, for your players.
No, that's good. That's great. Glad to hear you're evolving and you have a lot of installs there. So look forward to seeing what the golfer thinks of that and where that is 5 years from now. You know, who knows, right? From a content and standpoint.
Well, if we keep growing at the rate we're doing, you know, I'm just looking at my numbers. We're going to be up 125% this year in rounds. We're going to be up with the number of golf courses. If we keep growing at 15,000 cars a year, so in 5 years, now you're approaching 100,000 vehicles out there, right? Connected vehicles. Those vehicles are going to be a massive tool to the operator, to everybody who plays the game of golf, to play the game of golf the way you want to play it. And with one, do you want your phone out there, or do you want a device that's got a UI UX capability of doing anything?
Oh, that's great. Good luck. Good luck with the success of that. So, Don, what questions do you have for the Shark, my man?
I love everything he's saying, to be quite honest with you. You know, with this newfound interest in golf, everybody's kind of consuming golf a different way. And I think it's taken PGA professionals, golf course owners, designers, and all just to understand that music on the carts is great. And all you have to do is go into Topgolf and see the kind of experience that they're providing, and people are liking that. And so I really, I look to this year, Greg, I just love what you're doing, because I just feel like now is the time. We have people kicking the tires on our sport, and they have this perception. They're rolling into it thinking, well, I don't know, man, I've heard about golf. It's too hard, or it's too whatever. It's too, I can't have fun out there. And if we can show them now, whether it's a Shark experience or, me selling speakers in the golf shop, just to say, no, listen to your music. There's a USB port on your cart. Enjoy yourself out there, play some games, and it's okay to be on your phone. Remember, Greg, there used to be a time where it's like no cell phones on the golf course. It's okay now, because I'm playing my music. I'm doing whatever, whether it's a Shark experience or I'm having my own experience with my mobile device. Do it. Have fun. Get off the grid. Social distance. I mean, this game is amazing for health, for mental health, physical health, and family health. And so, I don't know, Greg, I guess I love what you're saying. I guess my big question for you is, what can an owner or golf professional do right now? Like I had mentioned, you got to run your business by walking around. Get out there and build those relationships. What do you think is missing? You know, that we don't want to miss. You were here for the last boom, the Tiger Woods boom, whatever we wanted to call it. Mm-hmm. Now we've got this boom. What do we need to do to leverage that?
Well, I think we've got to open it up even more. I think our platform is such a great platform, but I think there are certain segments of the market that needs to be allowed in. I think there's got to be a lot more focus on youth development and youth golf across the board. I think from the women's perspective, you've seen that number grow dramatically in a great fashion. I think the OEMs of the world are actually now getting equipment out there for the elderly and the women of the world that actually can get some feedback from the technology that is implanted in this equipment. So I think to see that is fantastic, but encouraging these kids, you know, encouraging everybody to get out there. And the other thing too, we're doing, Don, in the golf course design perspective, we're building 12-hole golf courses now. You know, we're making a big change and adjustment, because if we have a developer who wants an 18-hole resort development or residential development or apartment buildings, you can increase his ROI on his development dramatically by just saying, hey, why don't we just drop this down to a 12-hole? We'll do 6, and if you want to play 18, we'll just put another set of tees in there that'll play one of those 6 holes a little bit differently, so you can play 18 holes. So you speed up play, the cost of construction, the cost of maintenance is down, his ROI, return on investment, goes up dramatically, and boom, we got more people. And you mentioned Top Golf. I don't know what the number was, but it was around 13 or 14 million people last year visited the Top Golf facilities. If we can just pull 10% of those 13 or 14 million people, if my numbers are right, to the green grass golf, man, what have we done? We've done it. We keep growing the game of golf and giving these kids the ability to listen to their music, have fun with their friends, hang out with 4 or 5 or 6 of them in a booth, laugh and giggle and God bless life. There's nothing better than that. You know, the golf is starting to step back and saying, we can do this the right way. Look, not every golf course is going to be that way. Fair enough. You know, you don't see that happening in some of the iconic golf courses around the country or the world, but majority of them can do it. And when they do that, then we keep this influx of the players coming into the game the way they're coming in today. The interest in the game of golf now is the highest it's ever been. We, as everybody involved in the game of golf course designers, players, institutions, operators, NGCOA, let's just collectively come up with the right game plan to keep them in there and keep building on this platform.
Yeah, I think, great commentary, Greg. I think what we suffer sometimes from in the golf industry is this zero-sum calculation assumption that if I give up this old convention at my facility, for something new, or if I add a new convention, I'm giving up the old one. When I think it's really an additive calculation here, that you can change your dress codes and be a little bit more loose, because the guys that want to dress buttoned up they'll still do that. Yeah. They will still come to the golf course like that. So it's not giving up so much as adding to our repertoire, adding to what we're offering to the golf world, because the more we offer, the more people will be attracted to us. That's
exactly. Look what Mike Melvin has done at Baker's Bay and his places. People love to go to Baker's Bay in the Bahamas. Why? You can drink your tequila. You can play with your shirt on or off. You can play barefoot, have fun with your mates. You can do whatever you want. Yes, it's a high-end golf course, no question, a high-end development. And Melvin does a phenomenal job with each and every one of them. But he's allowed people to go be what they want to be. If I want to go down there and play with a button-down shirt, I'll go and play with a button-down shirt and long pants and 95-degree weather, 90% humidity. Okay, that's what I want to do. That's what I'll do. But that's an example.
I tell you what, Greg and I need to come to Augusta Ranch with our shoes off, our shirts off, playing Augusta Ranch, and I want that picture on Instagram.
you might have to wear a shirt. This thing just popped into my mind, Greg and Jay, and what's funny is when credit cards were dial-up, right? It took a long time for a credit card to run, and so you were forced to interact with the customer. Now with contactless payment, there is none of that. If we could just, as an industry, when someone comes to the counter, just ask them, have you played it before if you don't recognize them, or how long you've been playing? we might find out and filter just somehow, oh, I just played Topgolf and I'm out of it for the first time. It would literally change the conversation that we would have with them because we know where they came from. And that's, I think, what we're missing. I think that's what PGA pros personally are really good at, is building relationships. But if we could do anything, it's the speed of the transaction now is taking away from the actual conversation that used to let everybody know that we care about them and we want to provide them an experience that's on them, right? Everybody's unique nowadays. They don't want the regular experience. They want to use experience that they can once again consume. And so if we could just ask that question at the counter shops across America, I think we do a really good job of making these new golfers feel really comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then these new golfers that come in there, Don, they all have their device. They like that instant feedback, right? They want it. And that's different about that credit card story you just had. Technology is allowing them, just think from an F&B standpoint at golf clubs, right? F&B is obviously really good for the P&L of any golf club anywhere in the world. So, if you can run a cashless system where you can actually get on your phone or get on your device, and that's what we're going to be doing with the Shark Experience, where you run this cashless system. So Greg's playing with Don. Don's wearing a shirt that I really love. Greg says, where'd you get that shirt from? Well, I got it in the pro shop back there. It was stuck in the back left-hand corner. You can go on your device and say, hey, pro shop, I just want that shirt, bring it out to me straight away. Or I want a hamburger because I'm hungry, and it's all of a sudden it's out there. This process of instant gratification, a lot of ways, whether it's buying something, a SKU, or whether it's an F&B, food and beverage, it's there. And getting a cashless system in there, that's what people are used to nowadays, a swipe of their phone across a scanner and boom, there it is.
Wow, things are changing, and we need to harness that change for the good. The speed and the new technology is fantastic testimony. I'm gonna close our conversation, Greg, with a question about an experience maybe years ago for you. Is it true that your mother taught you how to play golf? And if so, tell us about that.
Well, my mother didn't actually teach me how to play the game of golf, but what happened was, just before my 16th birthday, we moved from one town to another. So I left all my mates. I played rugby, cricket, and my surfing mates and all that stuff. So I went down to this town called Brisbane. And my mother in those days was a very good golfer. She was a 3-4 handicapper. So I was bored because I didn't have any friends. I was a kid on the block. And so I went out and caddied for her one day. And this golf club, Virginia Golf Club, balls are back, and home. So she goes in there, has a cup of tea, and my mother's 5'3" and 100-pound ringing wet, right? So I figured, oh my gosh, if this woman can play me, I can play. It's got to be easy. So with a cup of tea, I go out there and I play the 15th hole, 16th hole, 17th hole, 18th hole. I was hooked. Now I'm playing with her clubs. I'm 6 foot. I'm a little bit bigger and stronger. Played with her golf clubs. My first handicap was a 27. My first official score was 108. And within 5 years, I won my first professional golf tournament. So, my mother introduced me to the game, but I fell in love with it with such a passion. It was actually, I just didn't realize it.
Oh, that's great. And I'll close on saying, look, if there's a silver lining to the COVID realities in our world, is that the more families are coming out to the golf course together. And so hopefully we'll have more stories like that, Greg, where mothers are introducing their children to the game and getting hooked for life, and maybe some more Greg Normans out there playing on the tour.
Yeah, let's hope so. They're out there. I see it. I mean, I go out and play with my friends at Western Country Club or other golf clubs around here, and I see the golf courses are packed, absolutely packed, and I love it. I love seeing that. I love hearing feedback, and the game of golf is healthy. Let's just keep it healthier and make sure we all manage it the right process, the right way, and not. Is there going to be another humpy, bad, stormy day on the seas? Absolutely there is. But if we do everything right today, we'll make that next storm a little bit easier to get through.
Amen. Well, hey, listen, thank you for joining Golf Business Live and being on our advisory board. We appreciate you. Stay in touch and let us know how we can help you. Don, it's good seeing you. Glad to see you back in action in the high season down there in Arizona. And guys, have a great day, and we'll see our audience next month for Golf Business Live. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, Jay.
Thanks, Greg.
Full set,
Great job.
Yeah. Take care, guys.